All right, so late last week, everybody was getting ready for another Texas game, but I was interested in the story about a recruiting trip and a dollar amount and the University of Texas. So how'd the $280,000 weekend strike you, Jeff Ward?
I can tell you, I don't think anybody spent $28 on me in a weekend.
Oh, how dare you? I'm sure they did.
That's true. There
Come
was a
on.
few pitchers.
$45 at least?
Yeah,
What's a couple of pitchers cost?
Wow. Okay, so I don't really care if there's blowback, but I'll say it anyway. But I'll make sure I set it up by saying I've got skin in the game on both sides of this issue. So I'm not coming at this as a clueless buffoon. There are people that actually go to college and are on campus that have real feelings and real concerns. And then there are football fans that think it's funny and don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I was recruited by Texas. I was never a superstar, but I was recruited by Texas, SMU, Rice, Colorado State, some smaller schools to play wide receiver, quarterback, blah, blah, blah. I was recruited to play soccer, recruited a little bit to play baseball too. On my recruiting visit to Texas, my host ended up being my roommate. He also happens to be the most successful high school football coach of the last 50 years. He was my host. I have 2 degrees from Texas, was a member of the Academic Honor Roll, and taught there 13 years. So I know both sides of this argument. I've taken plenty of guys out, been on plenty of wild nights in recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
Never $286,000. Let me say this. I think that's disgusting and embarrassing. It's disgusting and embarrassing. That night the story came out, I happened to be sitting at a table with some students. This is not my students, one of whom is going to law school. And the reaction was, that's disgusting. That's 4 years of tuition for someone. And a weekend of fun. Now, I'm not naive enough to say I didn't take guys out and party and charge stuff to hotel rooms either. But that number, and it may happen, you could say, well, but it goes on at other schools. Okay, if I had a diploma from one of those other schools, I'd say that's embarrassing and disgusting. That number's crazy.
The thing that stood out to me over and above the story itself.
Yeah.
And because
I don't know how, by the way, it's a bad look on campus, and I know, again, most fans don't care, but you do understand this is a college campus. I mean, stuff matters. There are roof leaks. They can't pay tuition. They got to have 3 jobs to go to school. There's real people really struggling to go to college. And so this is not taken very well. So I don't know how that got out, which would bother me if I was Football Inc.
Well, what I didn't realize is that some of this stuff is public records. Were you aware of that?
I'm not.
That what you're spending on a recruiting weekend
I'd hate to see mine.
Gets grabbed by The Athletic or whoever this was and does an analysis based on public records. I didn't realize that was public. That's the part that kind of got me.
Well, it should be.
Now, my question for you is, did you see the list and where Texas ranked on the list? Because
I didn't see the list.
Because the comparative part of this, I thought they really were trying to make Texas seem like the bad guy and Darth Vader here.
Yeah.
Texas is 13th in the country on that list, headed by Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, Clemson, Arkansas, A&M, and so on. The Longhorns are 13th at $1.275 million. This is in 2019, and what they spent. Georgia spent $3.676 million.
Yeah. Look, to someone who goes to college for real, who's not Football Inc., and I'm going to say I've known both sides of this very well. It's a disgusting number, and it's a problem on campus. Football Inc. doesn't care about the rest of campus. I'm sorry to tell all of you, and most people who are listening right now don't care about the rest of campus. But it is a problem. It's embarrassing and disgusting.
So you don't think the rest of campus is benefiting enough?
No, it doesn't. That's BS.
From what that might
bring. Let me tell you something.
bring.
That is BS. Don't say that stuff. I'm not saying you, but people who make that argument, really, are there more Nobel Prize-winning professors at Alabama now? Are there? I bet not. Nothing is changing academically. Don't start that. Don't fall for it. That's bogus. It's Football Inc. and Football Inc. by itself. It doesn't do anything else.
And for the record, these are numbers compiled before NIL really became legal.
I was going to say, whatever that number was, that's sort of like me arguing about my days of taking guys out. And my best guys and the best players that I took out, I remember one of them for certain, who's I guess he's not going to go in the Hall of Fame, but he might. He didn't drink at all.
Really?
Yeah.
You get to just buy water?
It was a bad night for me. So, man, I'm taking you to the hotel. I'm going out, man.
Sounds like a good night for your wallet.
Yeah.
If they were making you pay.
That's true.
Are you kidding me? That's true. That's a good point. good point.
No. So,
So how did that work back in the day? Do you get given money to pay,
Yeah.
or do you get handed a credit card to pay, or both?
I think we had cash,
Okay.
and usually the recruit would drink cheap drinks, and you'd get the good ones.
You drink the other drinks.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm not saying we didn't live in excess. We did.
Yeah.
I was part of it. I charged I remember one recruit one night. He was a quarterback out of Washington. He didn't end up coming. Guy passed out, and we had a giant party on top of him.
on top of him.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was just in the bed, and then it was on.
Oh.
I guess he survived. I
became-
didn't ask anybody the next day. Is he alive?
He became a comforter in the situation.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
So I mean, it is wild. It's out of control. I think it's more, from what I can tell, it's more about treating these guys like rock stars than it was us hanging out and partying with a bunch of guys that would either be your teammate or not be your teammate. So I think it's a little bit different focus now, because I do think college football, I'm not saying everyone that I played with was a Rhodes Scholar by any stretch.
Right.
It's gotten more into insulated and inoculated from the rest of campus. I gave a speech to a college team a few years ago and said, you know what? Everyone's lying to you. I just want you to know it's all a lie. It's not going to work out the way you're being told, so go to the library.
Did you mature the library once they got there?
Well, it didn't go over well,
No,
so
yeah.
I wasn't invited back.
Okay, so here's the maybe scary question after what you just said. If you're right and this is a horrible thing, do you think...
Well, I mean, it depends on how you're looking at it. Football Inc. I mean, remember what's happened. If you're in Football Inc., you're running to win, because that coach gets paid just to win. They're not getting paid by National Merit Scholars, not getting paid on graduation rates. It's not happening. They're getting paid on winning.
Right.
So their Football Inc., which makes its own money, is just going to operate in an insulated world. What I'm saying is, for people who go, yeah, that's cool, that's fun, who blames them? I'm just telling you, in the rest of campus, it doesn't play very well, and it shouldn't play very well.
The other thing that would worry me, if from that perspective, is would a Texas big money donor who's a part of this look at them at 13 on the list and say, well, we need to step our game up?
They may have.
And then
That's where the ice sculpture came in.
And then it'll just get worse.
It'll get worse.
Right?
It's an arms race. It's an out-of-control arms race with no regard, and I have to own this, again, having been on both sides, with no regard for the rest of campus. No regard for how people feel on a campus. The regard is skyboxes, rich people, ticket sales, and TV deals. That's College Football Inc. There's a book entitled College Football Inc. It is what it is. I'm not saying it doesn't go on elsewhere. I'm just telling you, having been on the academic side, it doesn't play well. I mean, if colleges want people to have a great experience to come back and donate money. That's what you want, right?
Yeah.
You go to college and then you love your experience, and hopefully you come back and you donate money. College Football Inc. is not about churning out future donors who are graduates. It's not. Sorry.
So that story obviously hit.
I did not stay at the Four Seasons, if that's
no,
what you're getting at.
No, I didn't know if you did.
I think the rest of the recruiting class did, and poor Jeff, then whoever knew, he knew who I was.
That's a heck of an experience there. I